For generations, the kingdoms of Amani and Kimbala drowned in endless war. Blood stained the rivers, and hunger filled the huts. When King Adeyemi inherited the crown, he carried not just his father's throne, but his father's unfinished conquest. Guided by Mama Zuri, the witch who had led the old king into battle, Adeyemi stood at the edge of war once again. Her omens promised glory, but her whispers reeked of blood. Yet in the dust of Amani's streets stood Sefiu, a homeless orphan who had lost everything to the war. Armed with nothing but his father's wisdom, a scar across his brow, and a palm leaf map tucked in his belt, he dared to speak against prophecy. Could an orphan's voice outweigh a witch's curse? Could truth defy bloodshed? As the drums thundered and the shields rose, Amani's fate balanced on the edge of mercy or destruction. The drums echoed across Amani, deep and unrelenting, carrying grief into every mud home. Torches flickered in the courtyard, shadows stretching against the palace walls. Adeyemi stood before the bier, silent as the chants of the elders rose. He clenched his fists, steadying himself. A king is not allowed tears, he thought, though the weight of his father's death pressed heavy. Mama Zuri leaned close, her staff tapping the ground. "Do not wait, my king," she whispered. "Kimbala weakens. Strike before their wounds close." Commander Bako stepped forward, voice like iron. "One word, Majesty, and your warriors march before dawn." Adeyemi's eyes lingered on the flames. "War has given me a crown, but has it given me a kingdom?" At the courtyard's edge, Sefiu stood among the crowd. His gaze was steady, his scar catching the torchlight. He gripped the cord on his wrist and whispered, "Father, will he listen to drums or to wisdom?" The chants faded into silence as smoke curled into the night. Mama Zuri lifted her staff, cowries rattling with each movement. "The gourd has spoken," she declared. "Kimbala hides weakness. Strike now, Majesty, before the jackals rise again." The crowd stirred. Commander Bako stepped forward, his shield gleaming in torchlight. "The warriors wait, my king. One command, and we will finish what your father began." Adeyemi's gaze drifted toward the flames. His lips pressed into a hard line, torn between grief and resolve. Sefiu watched from the shadows, his heart quickening. He whispered, "If he obeys her, the river will swallow our fathers, brothers, and sons." His voice disappeared into the hum of drums, but his resolve hardened. When the courtyard emptied, Sefiu walked quietly to the city's edge. He crouched beside a cracked mud wall, tracing lines into the dust. "The ford looks safe," he murmured, "but behind the reeds lie logs, bound with rope. One pull, and the river turns soldier into stone." He pressed his palm into the dirt, remembering his father's voice. "The enemy waits not with swords, but with patience." Boots scuffed behind him. Two guards approached, spears catching the moonlight. "What are you doing, boy?" one demanded. Sefiu stood slowly. "I am writing truth in dust, a truth the king must hear." The older guard scoffed, but the younger leaned closer, eyes narrowing at the neat lines. "His Majesty holds council at dawn. If your words carry weight, bring them to the Baobab gate." Sefiu wiped the map away with his sandal and whispered, "Father, let my voice strike harder than any spear." The sun crept over the horizon, painting the mud walls gold. Warriors assembled beneath the towering Baobab, their shields polished, spears upright like a forest of iron. Bako barked commands, his voice sharp. "Form ranks. Let the king see your strength." Mama Zuri tapped her staff, bracelets clinking. "The gourd dreams of rivers. Cross them today, Majesty, and your name will be sung forever." Adeyemi emerged in silence, his crown catching the light. He scanned the gathered faces, his thoughts hidden behind calm eyes. Then Sefiu appeared at the gate. He bowed low, dust clinging to his tunic. "Majesty," he said firmly, "I am Sefiu, son of no house. My father's bones lie in this war, but he left me roads and warnings. If you cross the ford, you march into death itself." A murmur rippled through the warriors. Adeyemi lifted a hand, commanding silence. "Speak, boy. Let us hear this warning." Sefiu knelt in the dust before the king. His voice was steady, though his heart raced. "The ford is bait," he explained. "Logs tied upriver wait to be loosed. When your warriors are halfway, the current will crush them." Bako snorted. "He draws fears and dirt. Let us meet the enemy with steel, not stories. Sephew raised his head. Test me, Majesty. Send scouts. If I lie, bind me to grind millet until my bones crack. But if I speak truth, spare your men needless graves. Mama Zuri struck her staff against the ground, cowries rattling. Hesitation will turn courage sour. Adeyemi's gaze moved from witch to orphan. Then his voice rang like a drumbeat. Bako, send riders. Quiet as owls. Bring me truth before I march. The warriors shifted uneasily. The fate of Amani now waited on the hooves of 2 scouts and the courage of an orphan's words. By midday, hooves thundered back through the gate. The scouts dismounted swiftly, their faces pale with urgency. One knelt before Adeyemi. Majesty, the orphan speaks true. Upriver lies a dam of logs and brush, bound by ropes. One pull, and the ford becomes a grave. Gasps rippled through the warriors. Bako gritted his teeth, his scar tightening. A clever trick, nothing more. We can break it. Adeyemi raised a hand, silencing him. His gaze found Sephew at the courtyard's edge. You saved lives today, he said firmly. Mama Zuri's bracelets rattled as she hissed. Mercy weakens kings. You invite shame if you spare them now. Sephew stepped forward. Mercy is not weakness. It is strength guided by wisdom. Spare your men and choose a path that victory cannot poison. Adeyemi studied him a long moment. We march west, by the ridge, he declared. The drums shifted to a slower beat, carrying new purpose across the kingdom. As preparations for the western march began, Mama Zuri blocked Adeyemi's path. Her staff struck the earth, cowries clinking like rattlesnakes. In my dreams, a hawk carried a lamb across a river, she said, eyes sharp as knives. The lamb grew teeth. Mercy breeds monsters. Adeyemi frowned. Your omens led my father to the grave. I will not follow blindly. She leaned closer, her face lined with shadows. Greatness demands blood. Choose mercy, and you will be devoured. Sephew stepped forward. Perhaps the hawk is pride, and the lamb is the people we believe powerless. If we drop them, Majesty, their teeth may only mirror our own. Bako shifted uneasily, his shield scraping stone. The air grew tense, heavy with unspoken challenge. Adeyemi looked from witch to orphan. His voice was calm, but final. I will guide my people with wisdom, not riddles that drown men. The witch bowed stiffly, her bracelets rattling like hidden laughter. The next morning, drums rumbled a steady march. Warriors moved westward, shields strapped across backs, spears angled toward the sky. Their footsteps kicked red dust into the rising sun. Bako walked at the front, jaw tight. He muttered to Adeyemi, Majesty, the men thirst for battle. Caution may sour their courage. Adeyemi replied, Courage without wisdom is a blade without a handle. It cuts the one who wields it. Sephew walked behind them, silent but alert. He watched the ridges of acacia trees, their branches etched against the horizon. His father's lessons replayed in his mind. Paths of stone hide ambush, but patience unveils them. Behind, Mama Zuri's staff tapped the earth with every step. Her eyes glowed with a quiet storm, as though plotting in silence. The march continued, steady as heartbeat drums. And in every warrior's chest burned the question, would the orphan's warning lead to victory or shame? By midday, the march slowed. The ridge loomed, casting long shadows across the savannah. Tall grass swayed, whispering secrets. Sephew narrowed his eyes. Something waits, he said softly. Bako scoffed. Grass hides only insects, boy. Yet his grip tightened on his spear. Adeyemi raised a hand, halting the column. Speak, Sephew. What do you see? The orphan crouched, running fingers through the soil. Tracks too many for hunters. Kimbala waits here. They expect us to pass blind. Mama Zuri's laugh cracked the silence. Fear makes lambs of men. March forward, Majesty, and break them like reeds. Sephew stood, gaze steady. A lion waits in the grass, Majesty. Step carelessly, and it will devour. Adeyemi studied the fields, thoughtful. His hand lifted again. Form shields. Let us test whether the lion is truly asleep. A sudden rustle tore through the tall grass. Then, shields flashed, spears bristled. Kimbala warriors burst forth, their cries piercing the air. Amani warriors tightened formation instantly. Drums pounded from the rear, rhythm steady, holding panic at bay. Bako roared, raising his shield. Hold the line. Sephu's voice cut through the chaos. Do not chase. Let them come. The ridge narrows their path. Adeyemi's gaze flicked between Orphan and General. He shouted, do as he says. Kimbala's charge faltered as the narrow pass funneled them into a wall of shields. Spears clashed against spears, but the trap they intended now turned against them. Mama Zuri's bracelets rattled angrily as she hissed. Fate has been stolen by a beggar's tongue. But Adeyemi, standing tall amidst the clash, whispered under his breath. Perhaps fate chose its own messenger. Spears clanged against shields as Kimbala warriors pressed harder into the narrow pass. Dust rose in choking waves, yet Amani's formation did not break. Bako's voice roared above the clash. Hold! Let them spin their fury. Sephu stood just behind the front, eyes sharp. Majesty, he called. Signal the drums to quicken. The rhythm will break their charge. Adeyemi raised his hand. The drummers struck faster, pounding like thunder. Kimbala's warriors faltered, their advance stumbling in confusion. Mama Zuri snarled, her bracelets clattering. Fate is being twisted by a beggar's tongue. Adeyemi shouted back. Fate bends to wisdom. The ridge echoed with defiance. For the first time, Amani fought not with reckless pride, but with the precision of patience. And through the dust, Sephu's heart beat steady, his father's lessons alive in every strike of the drum. By dusk, the field fell quiet. Kimbala warriors withdrew, leaving broken spears scattered across the ridge. The air reeked of sweat and dust, but not of blood, the shield wall had held. Adeyemi lowered his cowrie crown band, his chest heaving. Amani stands, he declared. The warriors pounded their shields in triumph. Bako grunted, pride grudgingly flickering in his eyes. Sephu stood apart, shoulders sagging with relief. Father, he whispered, your warnings saved them. Mama Zuri approached, her staff tapping. A single skirmish is not a war. Do not let this orphan blind you. Mercy will rot your throne. Adeyemi turned sharply. Enough. His counsel has preserved my men, while your riddles promised only graves. The witch's smile curved, thin and dangerous. Then we will see where his mercy leads you. As twilight settled, the campfires of Amani lit the ridge. Victory had been won, but peace still felt far away. The ridge glowed with campfires. Warriors sang victory songs, their voices echoing across the savannah. Yet Adeyemi sat apart, staring into the flames. Sephu approached quietly. Majesty, today was saved. But tomorrow may demand more than spears. Adeyemi's eyes lifted. Tell me, boy, you lost everything to this war. Why not hunger for vengeance as others do? Sephu held the braided cord on his wrist. Because vengeance took my father. Wisdom is the only inheritance he left me. Bako joined them, dropping his shield with a grunt. Majesty, the men grow restless. If we do not strike, Kimbala will see us as cowards. Adeyemi looked at the fire, then at Sephu. And if patience buys peace? Mama Zuri's laugh drifted from the shadows. Patience feeds your enemy until he devours you. The king's brow furrowed. Between the orphan's calm and the witch's venom, his path narrowed like the ridge itself. At dawn, drums summoned the council. Warriors gathered in a circle, shields resting at their sides. The air was heavy with expectation. Adeyemi rose, his crown gleaming. We have tasted victory. But tell me, does endless war fill our granaries or our graves? Murmurs rippled through the men. Bako answered, his scar catching light. Majesty, war sharpens us. Without it, Amani grows soft. Sephu stepped into the circle. Strength is not endless battle. It is knowing when to build, when to heal. Let drums beat for harvest instead of blood. Mama Zuri slammed her staff. The boy's tongue sows weakness. He tempts you to betray your father's legacy. Adeyemi's eyes swept the circle. My father's legacy was suffering. I will not repeat it, but I must carry this crown with care. The drums beat again, steady as a heartbeat, echoing the choice yet to be made. When the council dispersed, Mama Zuri approached Adeyemi alone. Her staff tapped sharply on the stone floor. You insult the spirits, she said coldly. You let a beggar's words outweigh omens carved in fire. Adeyemi faced her squarely. Omens drown my father's men. I will not chain myself to riddles. Her eyes narrowed, gray markings stark in torchlight. Defy me, and your crown will crumble. Your people will curse your name. Sephu, standing nearby, spoke firmly. The people curse already, Mother Zuri. They bury sons for wars they never chose. Her bracelets rattled as she turned on him. You dare speak to me, child of dust? Adeyemi stepped between them. He speaks with more courage than your omens. Test me if you must, but Amani will not be led by fear. For a heartbeat, silence filled the hall. Then Mama Zuri's smile curved, dangerous as a serpent's coil. So be it, King Adeyemi. So be it. The night deepened, yet Adeyemi could not rest. He sat upon the carved wooden throne in the torchlit hall, staring at shadows dancing along the mud-brick walls. Bako entered, shield strapped to his back, spear in hand. Majesty, the men ask if we march again tomorrow. They thirst for battle. Adeyemi rubbed his brow. And what do you say, Bako? The commander's scar tightened. I say the king must not appear weak. A crown survives only if feared. From the shadows, Sephu stepped forward. Fear breeds rebellion, not loyalty. Let them see a king who protects, not a king who feeds rivers with their bones. Mama Zuri's staff cracked against the floor. Her bracelets rattled like snakes. A king without fear is no king at all. He will be devoured. Adeyemi's voice thundered through the hall. Enough. I will not be devoured, nor will I devour my people. Tomorrow, we march not to destroy, but to choose a new path. As dawn broke, the camp stirred with drums. Warriors strapped on shields, but uncertainty rippled through their ranks. Sephu stood before Adeyemi's tent, his voice quiet but steady. Majesty, I am not of your blood. I have no clan to defend, no hut to return to. But I swear on my father's bones, I will serve Amani with truth. Let my voice be your shield. Adeyemi studied him, crown band glinting in the morning light. You are young, and the world sees you as nothing. Sephu lifted his chin. A leaf is nothing until it shades the weary. A stone is nothing until it sharpens the blade. Let me be what is needed. Bako scoffed from nearby. A king takes counsel from warriors, not beggars. Adeyemi's reply was calm but firm. Perhaps it is beggars who see what warriors ignore. The drums shifted. The march westward would begin again, but with a new voice in the king's council. The march resumed, drums thundering like heartbeats across the savannah. Warriors advanced with renewed discipline, shields strapped and spears steady. Adeyemi rode at the center, his gaze fixed on the horizon. We march not for conquest, he declared, but for truth. Bako, walking nearby, muttered, Truth cannot feed soldiers. Sephu answered before Adeyemi could. Nor can Graves, commander, but patience may harvest both peace and strength. The words rippled through the warriors. Some muttered agreement, others frowned in doubt. Mama Zuri, walking with her staff, leaned toward the king. Your men waver. A leader must crush doubt, not entertain it. Adeyemi replied firmly. A leader must command with wisdom, not fear. The drums beat louder, echoing his resolve. Dust rose in golden plumes behind the column. Onward they marched, not toward blind slaughter, but toward a destiny rewritten with every step. By midday, tension rippled through the column. Warriors whispered, torn between the witch's omens and the orphan's wisdom. Bako turned to Adeyemi. Majesty, your men grow restless. Doubt weakens the shield. Mama Zuri struck her staff into the ground. Crush doubt with action. Strike Kimbala, and fear will vanish. Sephu stepped forward boldly. Strike blindly, and fear will only multiply. Show them discipline, majesty. Show them that wisdom walks before courage. Adeyemi slowed the march. The warriors halted, forming a circle around him. Amani will not be a kingdom of graves, he declared. We will not feed the river with our sons. Some warriors cheered, others murmured uneasily. Mama Zuri's glare burned into Sephu, but the orphan did not flinch. The king's voice rose once more. We march to end this war, not to fuel it. At sunset, the column reached a plateau overlooking the river. The water shimmered red beneath the dying light. Adeyemi stood at the edge, crown band catching the glow. This river has drunk enough of Amani's blood, he said. Bako slammed his spear into the ground. Majesty, rivers cannot end wars. Only swords can. Sephu stepped closer. Wars end when men choose it. This river can be our witness, not our grave. Mama Zuri's laugh cracked the air. Peace is a dream that fattens enemies. Your father struck until his last breath. Will you betray him now? Adeyemi's jaw clenched. He turned to his warriors, their shields reflecting the sunset. My father's breath ended in sorrow. Mine will begin in wisdom. We march not to drown in this river, but to carve a new path. The warriors raised their shields slowly, uncertain yet moved. The choice of kings had been made. Night cloaked the camp by the river plateau. Fires flickered, but the air buzzed with unease. Warriors whispered, torn between the king's new path and the witch's omens. Bako strode among them, his scar lit by firelight. The king listens to a boy. Will you follow wisdom, or will you follow strength? Sephu sat near the flames, listening. He clutched his braided cord and spoke softly to those nearby. Strength without wisdom feeds the grave. We march to live, not to die. Mama Zuri watched from the shadows, her bracelets glinting. She tapped her staff, whispering words none could hear. The embers spat sparks into the dark, as though echoing her curse. Adeyemi stood before his warriors, his voice rising above murmurs. I am your king. My crown will not rest on rivers of blood. Stand with me, or stand aside. The silence that followed was heavy, balanced between loyalty and rebellion. At dawn, Adeyemi called his warriors to a circle. Drums beat slow, solemn. Every crown is tested, he said. Today, I ask not for swords, but for loyalty. Who stands with me? The warriors looked at one another. Some lifted shields, others hesitated. Bako stepped forward, scar shining. Majesty, I follow you, but only if you promise war. Peace does not sharpen a blade. Adeyemi's voice rang firm. Amani's blades will sharpen on wisdom. Stand with me, or walk away. Murmurs spread. Sephu stepped into the circle, his patched tunic dusty from the march. I have no home, no wealth. Yet I stand with the king, because he stands for life. One by one, warriors struck their shields against the earth. The sound grew, like thunder rolling. Mama Zuri's eyes narrowed. Her staff trembled in her hands. The orphan's voice had tilted the balance. That night, the air grew heavy. Mama Zuri slipped from the fire circle, her staff tapping softly. She vanished among the shadows of huts. Sephu noticed. He followed, careful as a cat. He found her at the edge of camp, murmuring over her gourd. The cowries rattled, her ash-gray markings glowing faintly in the moonlight. The king will break, she whispered. And when he falls, Amani will be mine. Sephu stepped from the shadows. The kingdom is not yours to claim, Mother Zuri. It belongs to its people. Her eyes flashed. You think your scar and your father's ghost make you more than dust? I think truth makes me enough, Sephu replied. She raised her staff, but voices approached, the warriors returning. She lowered it, her smile thin as a blade. This is not over, Orphan. At sunrise, Adeyemi gathered his council near the river's edge. The water shimmered gold, the air tense with expectation. I have heard omens, he began, and I have heard truth. One seeks blood, the other seeks peace. Today, Amani chooses. Bako shifted uneasily. Majesty, the men are divided. Choose wrongly, and rebellion will follow. Mama Zuri struck her staff, bracelets clinking. Strike Kimbala, spill blood, or your crown will rot. Sephu stepped forward, voice calm. Majesty, a crown rots when it feeds only on fear. Let this river witness a new path. Adeyemi raised his hand. Silence fell. His eyes swept the warriors. I am your king. My crown will not drown in this river. We march, but not to slaughter. We march to end this war. The warriors pounded shields. Their rhythm carried not bloodlust, but resolve. The march resumed, but now the rhythm was different. Drums no longer called for conquest. They beat for resolve, steady and sure. Adeyemi walked at the head, his crown glinting in the sun. His voice carried over the dust. We march not to slaughter, but to rebuild. Amani will be remembered not for graves, but for unity. Bako marched beside him, silent but watchful. His scarred face revealed doubt, yet something softened in his eyes. Sephu walked close, his map secured at his belt. The men no longer looked at him with scorn, but with respect. Some even nodded as he passed. Mama Zuri trailed with her staff, bracelets rattling like chains. Her smile was cold, but her silence louder than words. The columns stretched across the savannah, shields glinting, spears steady. And for the first time, the dust did not rise to swallow men. It rose as a banner of hope. The column camped under the acacia trees, fires burning low. Warriors murmured in small groups, the air thick with unease. Bako moved among them, his scar sharp in firelight. "The king listens to a beggar," he growled. "What if his mercy leaves us prey to Kimbala?" Some nodded nervously. Others stared at their shields, uncertain. From the shadows, Sephu watched, clutching his braided cord. He stepped forward quietly. "Mercy is not weakness," he told the men. "It is the wisdom that saves your children from burying their fathers." Bako's eyes blazed. "A boy dares instruct warriors?" He slammed his shield into the ground. "Follow him, and you follow shame." Before tempers could spark into violence, Adeyemi approached, crown gleaming in firelight. "Enough," he said, his voice cutting like a blade. "Division is the enemy's first weapon. Stand with me, or walk into the dark alone." The camp fell silent, the choice hanging heavy in the smoke. That night, Mama Zuri entered Bako's tent. The air was heavy with incense from her gourd. "Commander," she said softly, her ash-marked face lit by flame. "The king grows weak. His mercy will destroy us. But together, we can restore Amani's strength." Bako frowned. "You ask me to betray my king?" She smiled thinly. "I ask you to save your kingdom. One push at the right moment, and the crown will return to blood where it belongs." Unseen, Sephu crouched outside, listening. His heart pounded like the drums. She poisons him, he thought. Inside, Bako gripped his spear, torn between loyalty and pride. "If he falters, I will not let Amani fall." Mama Zuri leaned closer, her bracelets rattling. "Then be ready, Commander. The river does not forgive hesitation." At dawn, Sephu hurried to Adeyemi. "Majesty," he whispered urgently, "the witch poisons Bako. She tempts him to turn the warriors against you." Adeyemi's brows furrowed. "Are you certain?" "I heard it with my own ears," Sephu insisted, clutching his wrist cord. "They plot to replace wisdom with blood." Adeyemi sighed heavily. "Bako has fought for Amani longer than you've lived. Yet loyalty can falter." Bako entered the camp circle at that moment, his shield on his arm. His scar caught the light. "Majesty, I am ready to march. But know this, some men question your path." Mama Zuri appeared behind him, staff tapping. Her smile was calm, too calm. Adeyemi's gaze shifted between Orphan, Commander, and Witch. "Then let all doubt be spoken openly. Tonight, the fire will host truth. No man shall hide behind whispers." The warriors stirred, sensing a storm approaching. That evening, the warriors gathered in a circle around a great fire. Sparks climbed into the night sky like restless spirits. Adeyemi stepped forward. "Let all voices be heard. Speak now, and let truth decide Amani's path." Bako slammed his shield to the earth. "Majesty, your mercy breeds weakness. If you falter, the kingdom will fall." Mama Zuri lifted her staff, cowries rattling. "The spirits demand blood. Your father knew this. Ignore them, and doom follows." Sephu rose, his voice clear. "Mercy does not weaken, it preserves. The spirits of our fathers cry not for more graves, but for peace their children can live in." The warriors murmured, torn. Some struck shields in agreement with Bako, others nodded at Sephu's words. Adeyemi raised both hands. His eyes burned with resolve. "Then tonight, before flame and ancestors, I choose wisdom over blood. Amani will not die in rivers, nor in riddles." The fire hissed as Mama Zuri struck her staff into the earth. Her bracelets rattled violently. "You defy the spirits," she cried, her ash-gray markings stark in the flames. "You spit on your father's blood. Your crown is cursed." Adeyemi stepped closer, eyes blazing. "My father's blood cries for peace, not endless war." The witch's voice rose in a chilling laugh. "Then may peace bury you faster than war ever could." Sephu moved forward, standing between her and the king. "Your omens have drowned men for too long. Tonight they end." Bako hesitated, his grip on his spear trembling. His eyes darted between the orphan, the witch, and his king. The warriors stood frozen, breath held. In that moment, fate itself seemed to pause, waiting for the next strike. The night after the fire council was restless. Warriors whispered in the dark, torn between faith in their king and fear of the witch's curse. Bako sharpened his spear under the flickering light of a torch. His scar twitched as he muttered, "A king led by a boy and not by blood. It dishonors every warrior." Sephu heard him and stepped forward. A king who saves his people honors them more than one who buries them. Bako's eyes flared. Careful, Orphan. Courage is not wisdom, and words are not shields. Adeyemi appeared, his cowrie crown glinting in the torchlight. Words may not be shields, Bako, he said firmly, but wisdom guides the hand that holds them. The camp fell silent. Even the fire crackled softly, as though listening. Mama Zuri, hidden in shadow, smiled faintly, her bracelets rattling like promises waiting to be broken. Before dawn, Mama Zuri slipped beyond the camp, her staff tapping softly in the dew. She lifted her gourd to the rising stars, chanting words that seemed to pull shadows from the ground. The crown must fall, she whispered. Let fear take root in every heart but mine. Unseen, Sephu followed. He crouched behind a boulder, the scar on his brow catching faint moonlight. His chest tightened as he heard her words. He stepped out. You poison the kingdom, not its enemies. Her head turned slowly, ash-gray markings glowing faintly. And you, child of dust, think to stop me? A river cannot be dammed by a single stone. Sephu lifted his chin. But a single stone can turn its course. The witch hissed, bracelets rattling. Pray your king never falters, boy, for the spirits I call will swallow him whole. That evening, Adeyemi called his closest warriors to the fire. Their shields formed a half-circle around him. My crown is tested every day, he said, voice low but steady. But I will not march this kingdom into graves. Tell me, do you stand with me? Some warriors struck their shields in agreement. Others looked down, uncertain. Bako stepped forward, his scar dark in the firelight. Majesty, I serve you. But if peace weakens us, I will act. Adeyemi's eyes narrowed. Loyalty does not shift with the wind, Bako. It stands, or it falls. From the shadows, Sephu spoke quietly. Majesty, a kingdom divided is already conquered. Trust must be forged tonight, or tomorrow's march will be broken. Mama Zuri's staff rattled. Trust in omens, not orphans. The spirits laugh at your weakness. Adeyemi lifted his chin, firelight blazing in his eyes. Then let the spirits laugh. Amani will not. Later, Bako sat apart, sharpening his spear again. His jaw was tight, but his eyes wavered. Sephu approached quietly. You are strong, commander. But even strong hands tremble when they bury their sons. Bako glared. You speak as though you know war. I know loss, Sephu replied softly. I watched it take my family, my home, everything. I would give my life so no child in Amani feels that again. For a long moment, Bako said nothing. Then he looked at his scarred reflection in the blade. His voice dropped. If you are wrong, boy, the kingdom dies. Sephu nodded. Then let truth prove me right. From the shadows, Mama Zuri watched, bracelets rattling. Her eyes glowed with rage. At midnight, a cry split the camp. Warriors leapt to their feet, shields raised. In the confusion, Mama Zuri stood at the fire's edge, her staff lifted high. Behold the spirit's wrath, she cried. The gourd rattled violently, and smoke burst into the night, cloaking the camp. Men coughed and stumbled. Shadows danced like specters among the flames. Adeyemi shouted above the chaos, Hold fast. This is no spirit, it is trickery. Sephu rushed to his side, scar catching the firelight. Majesty, the smoke blinds them. If panic spreads, the camp will tear itself apart. Bako bellowed, trying to rally the warriors. Shields to the fire. Clear the smoke. Through the swirling haze, Mama Zuri's laughter rang, sharp and cruel. She vanished into the dark, leaving fear in her wake. Adeyemi's jaw tightened. She has declared herself our enemy. The witch's shadow lingered in the smoke, promising darker trials to come. The smoke slowly thinned, revealing chaos. Warriors coughed, their shields smeared with ash. Adeyemi stood tall, his crown glinting in the fire's glow. Form ranks, he commanded. But Bako hesitated, eyes darting toward the dark where Mama Zuri had vanished. The scar on his cheek twisted with doubt. Sephu saw him. Commander, stand with your king, he cried. If you falter now, the witch wins. Bako's jaw clenched. For a moment, silence weighed heavier than steel. Then he lifted his shield. Form ranks, he bellowed. The warriors obeyed, the circle restoring order. Adeyemi's gaze flickered between his commander and his orphan advisor. For the first time, both voices seemed to strike together. In the shadows beyond the firelight, Mama Zuri watched, her bracelets rattling softly. "So the boy steals the commander's fire," she hissed. "Then I will burn them both." Before dawn, the camp awoke to a terrible sound. Mama Zuri's voice shrieked from the hills, her chants echoing like thunder. "The spirits curse your king," she cried. "His crown will rot, his warriors will scatter, his kingdom will fall." The warriors trembled. Some clutched their shields, others dropped their spears. Adeyemi stepped into the open, voice booming. "No curse commands Amani. We choose our path." Sephu ran to his side. "Majesty, speak truth louder than her lies. The men need your voice." Bako strode forward, raising his shield. "Let them see we stand together." The warriors' eyes widened. Commander, king, and orphan stood shoulder to shoulder. The chants from the hills faltered for the first time. Hidden in the rocks, Mama Zuri hissed, her bracelets rattling. "So unity shields them? Then unity must break." The column moved again, following the river's bend. The water rushed angrily, swollen by rains upstream. Sephu walked close to Adeyemi. "Majesty, beware the banks. Kimbala may strike when the ground is weakest." Bako scanned the horizon, spear in hand. "If they come, we will cut them down." Mama Zuri's laughter carried from the rear. "The river is their ally. When it swallows you, remember who warned you." The warriors shifted uneasily. Every splash of water against the rocks sounded like an omen. Adeyemi raised his voice. "Fear has no place in Amani. Trust the shield, trust the brother beside you." The column straightened, rhythm returning to their march. But deep in his chest, Adeyemi felt the witch's words pressing like storm clouds. Sephu's hand brushed his wrist cord. He whispered silently, "Father, guide me. The river runs fast, but wisdom must run faster." As dusk fell, horns blared from across the river. Kimbala warriors surged from the trees, their spears gleaming red in the fading light. "Shields!" Bako roared, raising his cowhide guard. The Amani line braced. Spears clashed, the sound like thunder. Sephu shouted, "Hold them at the bank." The river slows their charge. Adeyemi struck with measured fury, his crown flashing as he swung his blade. "Push them back into the water." The clash raged, warriors tumbling into the current. The river swallowed some, carried others downstream. From the rear, Mama Zuri's bracelets rattled as she chanted, "Spirits, blind them. Break their courage." But the shield wall held, Amani's unity defying her curses. When the horns fell silent, the river carried Kimbala's dead away. The bank belonged to Amani, for now. When silence finally fell, the riverbank was littered with broken spears and abandoned shields. The air smelled of iron and mud. Adeyemi stood at the water's edge, his crown wet with spray. "Amani stands again," he declared, his voice echoing over the river. The warriors cheered, striking their shields. Yet Mama Zuri's laughter cut through the sound. She stepped forward, her bracelets rattling like bones. "You win battles," she said, "but wars are not ended by mercy. The spirits will demand their price. And when they do, your orphan will not save you." Sephu stepped beside the king, scar glistening in torchlight. "Then let the spirits see. Wisdom, not blood, shapes Amani's path." Adeyemi raised his hand, silencing both cheers and curses. "The river has drunk enough. Tomorrow, we march to end this war, not for conquest, but for peace." The warriors stood stunned. For the first time, the word peace rose above the drums of war. At sunrise, the warriors marched again, their shields catching the light. Yet beneath the rhythm of the drums, whispers of doubt coiled like snakes. Bako strode near the front, his scar harsh in the sun. "Majesty," he said, "the men wonder, will this path bring peace or shame?" Adeyemi answered without slowing, "Peace is never shameful. But if blood must fall again, it will not be wasted in pride." Sephu walked close, fingers brushing the cord at his wrist. "The road ahead is heavy, Majesty, but unity can carry it." From behind, Mama Zuri's voice slithered into the air. "Unity cracks like clay when water runs through it. One more battle, and your kingdom breaks." The drums faltered, warriors glancing at one another. Adeyemi lifted his cowrie crown high. "Then let Amani prove stronger than clay. Let us march as stone." The drums struck again, firmer this time, echoing into the horizon. By noon, The column reached a valley of tall reeds swaying in the wind. The air smelled of damp earth, and silence pressed heavily. Sefu's eyes narrowed. Majesty, this place is wrong. The reeds hide more than wind. Bako frowned. Ambush. Mama Zuri's bracelets clinked as she tapped her staff. No ambush, an omen. Blood must fall here, or the spirits will never sleep. Adeyemi studied the valley. His crown gleamed in the muted light. Or perhaps the spirits sleep when men lay down their spears. Suddenly, a spear flew from the reeds, striking the ground before them. Kimbala horns blared. Shadows rose from the grass. Shields. Bako ward. The valley erupted in war cries, the air alive with terror and steel. The reeds became a battlefield. Spears thrust through the stalks, shields slammed, and cries of men filled the air. Bako fought at the front, his scarred face grim as he drove back Kimbala warriors. Hold the line, he shouted. Sefu darted through the chaos, shouting directions. Push them toward the river bend. The ground favors us there. Adeyemi fought like a lion, his cowrie crown flashing in the dust. With me, Amani. From the ridge above, Mama Zuri lifted her staff, chanting curses into the wind. Her bracelets rattled furiously. Yet the warriors, emboldened by unity, did not falter. Step by step, the Kimbala line wavered. Blood stained the reeds. But for the first time in years, Amani's shield wall advanced not for conquest, but for survival, and perhaps peace. The clash raged until Bako found himself face to face with a Kimbala captain. Their spears locked, muscles straining. The scar on his cheek burned as if alive. The captain snarled, "Your king weakens you. Strike him down, and Amani will live." For a heartbeat, Bako hesitated, the witch's poison whispering in his ear. From across the field, Sefu's voice cut through. "Bako, loyalty is strength. Betrayal is the true weakness." Bako roared, shoving the captain back and driving his spear into the ground beside him. "I stand with my king." The warriors around him cheered, their spirits renewed. Adeyemi lifted his blade high. Amani fights as one. On the ridge, Mama Zuri screamed, her bracelets shattering under the force of her fury. The battle thundered to a halt as the Kimbala warriors fell back, their horns signaling retreat. The valley was littered with broken reeds and shattered shields. Adeyemi stood at the center, chest heaving, crown gleaming in the last light of day. "Amani has stood, not by fear, but by unity," he proclaimed. The warriors roared, pounding shields. Sefu stood beside him, scar glistening with sweat, his eyes shining with fierce pride. Bako lowered his spear, then knelt before the king. "Majesty," he said, voice raw, "forgive my doubt. My strength is yours." Adeyemi lifted him up. "Your strength was always Amani's. Stand, brother." On the ridge, Mama Zuri shrieked. Her bracelets shattered, scattering cowries into the dirt. Smoke curled from her staff as she staggered, her curse unraveling before their eyes. Sefu whispered, "Her chains are breaking." Adeyemi nodded. "Then Amani is free to choose its destiny." The valley was eerily quiet at dawn. The broken reeds lay heavy with dew, the air thick with the smell of battle past. Adeyemi stood at the ridge, his cowrie crown gleaming faintly in the mist. "The spirits are silent," he said softly. "Perhaps they have left us." Sefu stepped beside him, clutching his wrist cord. "No, Majesty. The silence is not their absence. It is peace, waiting to be chosen." Bako approached, his scar shadowed by the rising sun. "The men are weary, but their loyalty is yours. They will march where you lead." From behind, Mama Zuri emerged, her staff smoldering, bracelets shattered. Her voice cracked like dry wood. "You think victory frees you? The curse remains. The river will still claim you." Adeyemi faced her. "Your curse ends today? Not with omens, but with choice." The silence deepened, as though the earth itself waited for his command. As the warriors prepared to move, Mama Zuri raised her staff one final time. Smoke curled from the cracked gourd, swirling like dark serpents. "The river will take you," she shrieked. "No orphan's tongue can silence the spirits." The warriors staggered back in fear, shields trembling. Sefu stepped forward, scar catching the morning light. "Your spirits are fear, nothing more. Amani's strength lies not in curses, but in its people." He looked at Adeyemi. "Majesty, break her staff. End her hold forever." Adeyemi gripped the lion-tooth pendant and advanced. Mama Zuri screamed, her bracelets rattling wildly. But Bako moved behind her, shield raised. Enough, Bako growled. You will not poison Amani again. Together, Adeyemi struck the staff, shattering the gourd. Smoke burst into the air, but no spirits came, only silence. Mama Zuri fell to her knees, the fire gone from her eyes. The smoke faded, leaving only the morning wind. Mama Zuri knelt broken, her staff splintered. Adeyemi turned to his men. Her power is gone. Amani is free. The warriors erupted, striking shields in thunderous rhythm. Sephew stepped forward, voice carrying over the roar. Majesty, today Amani chose wisdom over fear. But peace will demand more than victory. It will demand forgiveness. Bako looked at him, scar red with sweat. Slowly, he lowered his spear and nodded. The boy is right. We cannot build a kingdom on graves. Adeyemi placed a hand on Sephew's shoulder. You, orphan of dust, have given Amani more than warriors or omens. You have given us truth. The warriors bowed their heads. Even the drums slowed, their rhythm steady and reverent. Mama Zuri wept quietly in the dust. Her reign of omens was over. At midday, the column reached the river once more. Its waters glistened, calmer than before, reflecting the sky like a mirror. Adeyemi stood at the bank, crown shining. This river has carried blood for generations. Today, it will carry peace. He knelt, scooping water into his hands. Then he poured it onto the earth. No more graves. No more curses. Amani chooses life. Sephew stepped beside him. Majesty, let the river bear witness. The warriors followed, dipping shields into the current, washing away the dust of war. Their chants rose, not of conquest, but of unity. Even Bako bent low, letting the water cleanse his scarred face. Mama Zuri sat apart, her staff broken, tears streaking her cheeks. She whispered, "The river carries me away." But the warriors did not heed her. Their eyes were fixed on their king and the orphan who had saved them. Back in Amani, the drums thundered, not with mourning or war, but with celebration. The people filled the palace courtyard, mud walls glowing in the sunset. Adeyemi stood on the steps, crown gleaming, his lion-tooth pendant shining like fire. Amani lives, he proclaimed. Not by conquest, but by unity. The courtyard erupted in cheers, shields pounding rhythmically. Children danced among the warriors. Sephew stood at the king's side, patched tunic dusty, but head held high. For the first time, he smiled fully, the scar on his brow shining like a badge of honor. Bako stepped forward, kneeling before the people. I serve not just my king, but Amani's truth. Even Mama Zuri stood quietly at the edge, stripped of power, her eyes hollow but no longer cruel. Adeyemi lifted his arms. Let this day be remembered. The orphan's wisdom saved a king, and the kingdom is reborn. The drums roared louder, carrying the promise of peace into the night. The drums that once summoned war now echoed with peace. Amani, once chained to omens and blood, had broken free. King Adeyemi, scarred by battle but guided by wisdom, raised his crown not as a conqueror, but as a builder of unity. Beside him stood Sephew, the orphan once dismissed as dust, now hailed as the voice that saved a kingdom. His father's wisdom had outlived swords and curses, proving that even the lowliest could rise to change destiny. Commander Bako, once torn between pride and loyalty, bent his knee in allegiance, not just to his king, but to the truth that peace was strength. And Mama Zuri, stripped of her power, watched in silence as her reign of fear dissolved into memory. The people of Amani lifted shields to the sky, children danced in the courtyards, and the river that once drank blood now reflected only hope. The kingdom was reborn, and it began with an orphan's voice.